y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the.
And welcome back, Sooner Sound Waves, episode 15. I'm Iceberg. Alongside me is the good fella,
Boomer,
and St. Pablo.
Sooner.
All right, number 8, Oklahoma hosted number 23, Missouri. The Sooners come out victorious, 17-6, to move one step closer to a potential college football playoff spot. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts?
Hey, I want to start off with defense again. An incredible game on the defensive side. I was looking back at the game and just thinking about, we lost a lot last year in terms of on the defensive side of players. So this year, I anticipated a decent season, but nothing like this. When you look at the defensive side, like we have a lot of depth in terms of the entire 11 they're all playing great football. There's a few standouts, but there's not the next man up mentality. I think everyone that we put in, they're able to come in. They're high quality. They play really good, sound football. And I haven't seen this in a very, very long time in Oklahoma in regards to having just a dominant force and not a single one player, two player on one side of the ball that's dictating how we do. All 11 is playing really solid football. So great performance on the defensive side. There's a few standout players. Heineke is still like raising havoc. You talk about a player that came from out of nowhere, take a chance and 10 tackles, 2 solos, 1 tackle for loss. Like he was everywhere on Saturday, making some amazing plays, hard hitting. Kip Lewis, I think he did some great plays too. One play in particular on the side, like the tight end, the running back went like a little out route or a little short pass, and he just exploded. But just those are really great plays, really great situational football that I think Brent Venables is continuing to show that he is a dominant force in scheming up games, creating different schemes on defense. And you flip on the offensive side, I was going back and forth on this Mateer. I think last week saying Pablo coined Mateer as Mr. Clutch or Clutch Mateer in some regards. I can't call him clutch, but he's not making mistakes that he's managing the game. Again, there's a few plays to where we did get lucky on a few drop passes on the defensive side that could have been interceptions. So whatever the football guys are in his favor, they're making sure he's not turning the ball over. And I can't expect anything more than what he's done already. I think he ran the ball great on Saturday. He got back to the material that I was looking for in terms of running the ball. 18 carries, 60 yards. His longest one was 15 yards. He's our leading rusher on Saturday. I think Xavier came out at 12 carries, 42 yards. I don't know what happens this week in the backfield. Do we run heavy again with Mateer, knowing that we have potential 3 weeks and until we get into a bowl season game? I say yes. I say you keep the same formula. You don't change it. Mateer had some great short passes. I think that slant route to Centennial was a great, slant route, and track speed. He was outrunning all the defenders. Again, I think he has to get at least 5 touches a game. He had 3 on Saturday. I think he needs more than that. He is our impact player on the offensive side, and he should be getting more looks. I've been hearing talks about this. I don't know how you guys feel about this. Hearing some sports radio shows, they were talking about putting Jaron, our tight end, in the backfield and letting him get some runs. I don't know. I mean, I think right now, don't do it. We're so far in the season. You would hate for them to do that and he fumbled the ball. But who knows in goal line if we're in the trenches and we need to get 2 or 3 yards to score. I mean, you can try it. But I don't know. I think our offense is our offense. I think we can't expect them to do more than 20 points a game, if that. Anything over that is a bonus. I think our defense is okay with that. I think our defense understands we can hold teams to under 20, and our offense can score at least 20 or close to 20. We have a really good chance of winning the game. So I don't know. That's what I have on my report. So no game ball for the offense, but the entire defensive side gets the game ball for me.
St. Pablo.
Yeah, gritty performance, and I think that's kind of the word everyone keeps throwing out about John Mateer.
Oh, John Mateer, gritty. We'll go gritty. My apologies.
Yeah, gritty on John, but I still think clutch. I mean, perfection in the red zone, which is really amazing to be 100% in the red zone this year in college football. I mean, that's a great statistic and shows 6 for 16 on third down. Again, that would deliver some of the clutch on his end. But overall, just again, it's so amazing to be here. Part of it just continues to feel a bit ever since the Alabama game, Tennessee actually, go all the way back to Tennessee, and we have just been on a holy terror of like Brent Venables said, it's not been pretty, but it's football, and it's not a beauty pageant. But we have just found these ways to win, and we just keep fighting. And we are 9-2 and 5-2 in the SEC, and it's been this tremendous turnaround for the Sooners this season. And so I am, as a Sooner fan, and just watching the way this thing is flipped so I don't know, just unexpectedly in some ways, because we were all down there at Texas, and got to be honest, I mean, that Texas game and things really the outlook of the season wasn't. it just got worried, and the Ole Miss was another punch to the face. It's one of those games you felt like that we probably should have won. I'd actually like a rematch, maybe at some point or another with Ole Miss. But just looking where we're at now with one game left on our regular season schedule and having an opportunity to make the college football playoff, how could you not be just thrilled, excited, nervous, headed into this last week to go face LSU Tigers? It was a real chippy game against Missouri. I mean, there was a lot of trash talking, a lot of pushing, I think there was a lot of, a lot of remembrance from last year and some of the trash talking that started last year when we went to Missouri and we kind of gave that game away in the last few seconds. And so the Sooners were real chippy in this game. In fact, it got a little out of control to some level. I mean, you have to be smart, and control your emotions. I love the fight. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Sooners fighting the way they do, but I was a little worried at times when we were, who's the young man that will not play in the first half of the LSU game?
Reggie Powers.
Yes, thank you, Reggie Powers.
Yeah.
You know that, and it was a targeting hit. I mean, I don't always agree with the targeting calls, but it was a targeting hit. But again, that's kind of a disappointing deal going into LSU. But our defense is so deep. To the running back situation, I had heard Brent talk, I think it was today or yesterday, that Taylor Tatum and Jade Knott are likely to be available against LSU.
Interesting. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. I don't know. I like what Xavier Robinson's bringing to the table.
He hurt?
Huh?
I thought he was hurt. Xavier.
Who?
Xavier.
He is hurt. I mean, he's playing.
Yeah, he is playing. I don't
He's
think he's
playing.
healthy.
Yeah, I think he's
I
dinged
think,
up though.
he was one step away from busting that little shovel pass.
Yeah.
I just think, guys, here's we have to remember, we just played the number one defense in the SEC. Missouri had the number one rated defense in the SEC. You have to remember that. And, we still won with an offense that is average or below potentially, with what we've shown the last few games. And, we won in a game where I can honestly say none of the calls went our way. There were probably 4 or 5 pass interference calls on our sideline that were questionable, and we got called for one of them. We didn't get 3 of the calls. The targeting was to me because I feel like his hands hit first. Which whatever. I think they need to look at that rule probably every year as they have examples come up, because I don't feel like it was a unsafe hit, if you will. Held
I
Hardy.
told you how I felt about it in regards to back maybe week 4, 5 about finding the players. Like, don't hurt the team. Just find the players.
Yeah. The nastiness that you mentioned, I loved it. And I'm not a nastiness kind of guy. I'm usually a sportsmanship. But yeah, I really feel like in that game, if we didn't have some of the nastiness, we would have let that first drive in the first quarter be the story of the game. I think some of the tenacity, it is what we saw. Now the thing on the sideline with whoever that was, I don't know who it was. They called it on number 34, where apparently there was taunting on the sideline when the Missouri kid went over there. I don't agree with that. But at any rate, we held Ahmed Hardy to a season low. We held Missouri to 70 yards. Other than the first drive, which honestly scared the crap out of me, they didn't do anything. They'd never been held to 70 total rushing yards in a game. I don't think Hardy had any. Like I don't think he had anything second half. Like that was all first half. I think. I do believe it was 0. Yeah, 17 carries for 57 yards is all he had. Our offensive line, we also have to remember, we're starting 3 freshmen. We have 3 true freshmen on the offensive line. But in terms of the offense, I will agree that Mateer is doing just enough. I think Mateer is managing the game, which is what we asked for when he was trying to force things back after Ole Miss. If you remember, and that was, I think, when we talked about above average or average quarterback, but he was really trying to force things and he was pressing too much. And now he's just taking what the defense gives him. And if they give him, for example, the time that they had 6 in the box and, it was a quarterback run because we had hat on a hat and he got about 10 to 12 yards. That's what he takes. And, I also feel like since Ole Miss, I feel like Venables has a little bit of control of the offense in terms of low risk, please. Like, Don't take any risks because the defense will win ball games. Don't give them the football back because the defense will win us ball games. I've heard a couple people on the inside say some things like that. And I say on the inside, like the media guys that think they have a leak. But I really feel like there's been conversations had that just, hey, just manage the football game. Take what the defense gives you. We're not going to do anything too risky. And our defense is what's going to win this football game. So 9-2, guys, headed into we win. Bringing LSU, who is struggling. They struggled with Western Kentucky. They come into Norman. Gosh, if you would have told me this beginning of the year, I probably would have told you you're crazy. St. Pablo wouldn't have, though.
No, if Xavier Robinson is playing with a sprained knee, he has been. Yep. So that's his injury update. And you're right on the penalties. I think we had 7 penalties for 80 some odd yards. We did get a lot of bad calls in that regard. But yes, we just need one more victory here to close it on out. Moving forward.
Any other thoughts on the Missouri game, gentlemen?
No, another good week for special teams. Block, field goal again.
Hey, Tate Sandell needs to get the Lou Groza Award. Hands down, he should be a lock, provided he doesn't just, trip this week.
Don't say that. Nothing. Period. Right.
Period.
Well, the only thing we probably can't overemphasize enough on this game again is the takeaways. I mean, we have just went from, a 180 in that regard and, taking the football away and in the secondary, Jacoby Johnson.
Beautiful interception.
Yeah. He really played well. And the secondary, who may have at certain times of the season looked maybe inferior to this elite defensive line, they really stepped up. And, the quarterback, Bo, for Missouri, for Missouri there, that guy, for coming off a dislocated ankle, he actually looked pretty good early on. It's just, the Sooners, no one looks great against that aggressive defense that we have.
Agreed. All right. So we'll shift from the Missouri game to the LSU game. LSU comes into Norman on Saturday, 2:30, to face the Sooners. LSU is reeling just a little bit after the firing of Brian Kelly. OU with everything in front of them. A win, and you probably 98%, 99% chance you win your bid into the college football playoff unless something crazy happens. I'll go first here. I did, the injury reports haven't come out yet. Those will come out Wednesday evening. Garrett Nussmeier is doubtful, not necessarily officially on the injury report, but he is doubtful to play. Still suffering an abdominal injury, so we'll have a backup quarterback who threw for a little over 200 yards against Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky, that game, LSU didn't look great. Kind of struggled with a lowly Western Kentucky. And the LSU Tigers aren't necessarily what everybody thought they would be going into this year. I think they started this year at least in the top 10. But coming into Norman, that place is going to be lit up, guys. I would not doubt if that place is the loudest it's been all season. You guys mentioned the turnovers. One of the things that I heard today, since in Tennessee, Alabama, and Missouri, the Sooners are +6 in the turnover margin. So hopefully we can continue that, force some turnovers. The offense of LSU is very average. I believe I saw in most rankings they rank right at or below the OU offense in terms of statistical rankings. So looking forward to a great matchup. and hopefully OU can get some offense rolling against the LSU Tigers. 13-10. Sorry, I had to look it up. 13-10 over Western Kentucky was the score this last weekend.
Well,
Yeah, I think just to jump in here, I think LSU. You know, I think they just had a lot of turmoil this year, losing their coach, injuries, but it's OU, so they're going to come in. They're going to put their best foot forward. I'm confident in our defense, and I am hopeful for our offense in terms of just being able to just manage a game. Again, keep it under 20. Again, don't do anything that's risky on offense. Like if we got to go out and be vanilla, let's be vanilla. Let's just keep it basic. Hold the ball. I think we did a really great job. Like I think St. Pablo mentioned, third down conversions. Like we were moving the ball. I know it didn't show up on the scoreboard, but I'll take some clock management and running the ball, moving the clock. So same thing this week, the same plan. Let's allow our defense to dominate. Put the team in some situations to where they're back on their 10-yard line with good punts, and we win another slugfest. So.
yeah, I think I saw LSU is scoring offense. They're 72nd in the country. Maybe, not doing well. I don't know. Is their starting quarterback and running back injured? I was trying to find out if Garrett Nussmeier was injured, and that seems like they have a lot of injuries. Has maybe led to some of their woes this as of recent. Also, as you mentioned, their football coach being fired after getting annihilated by Texas A&M at home, I believe. And so just a difficult scenario they're in. These are one of these games in any other scenario. I mean, if this, this is their season, this is kind of their bowl game per se, LSU's bowl game. I mean, they'll have a bowl game, but this may be a better kind of matchup, kind of their season. But if it didn't mean so much to the Sooners, I may be even more worried. I'm always worried until we kind of get that official bid to the college football playoff. But, it being the at home in Norman, knowing what's on the line, I fully anticipate, like you'd mentioned, that this is going to be a crazy crowd, a lot of fun at 2:30 kickoff, and the Sooners ready to take care of business. The offensive struggles for LSU, that is not going to, 13 points, that against a Western Kentucky who doesn't have a bad record, as you mentioned, but I kept kind of clicking back to that game also because it was just surprising how close it was for LSU playing Western Kentucky. But again, as you mentioned, who would have thought that we would be here? And just exciting that we have this opportunity again to flip everything from what last year looked like. I think this time last year we were talking about the Alabama game that came out of nowhere for the Sooners. We came out of nowhere last year, but just kind of salvaging, excited about being bowl eligible. And now we are literally on the cusp of college football playoffs with the chance at a national title. And to be completely honest with you, if the Sooners make it into the college football playoffs, they're an extremely dangerous team. I don't know anyone who would want to play this defense right now. They are just very volatile, extremely dangerous team. And it will be a lot of fun to talk about if we can get through this last and final hurdle.
Yeah, so Garrett Nussmeier is supposedly doubtful as the quarterback, so we should see the number 2 quarterback in Michael Van Buren Jr. Caden Durham is the running back for LSU, and I don't see where he was injured. He had 6 carries for 16 yards last week against Western Kentucky, and the week before he was the leading rusher against Arkansas. So, LSU went through a 3-game stretch there where they lost to Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, which after the A&M game is when Brian Kelly got fired. Then they lost to Alabama, and then they beat Arkansas by 1, and Arkansas is on the struggle bus. And then they struggled 13-10 against Western Kentucky. So, but I tell you one thing, if I have to see the highlight come up on my social media feed again of Bauer Sharp throwing it to LSU, I might vomit. If you recall that pass last year. So, okay. Just to kind of, let's see here. What I have for last week, Goodfella had a prediction of 28-20. St. Pablo had a prediction of 24-17. And I had a prediction of 27-21. Obviously, all of those are way too many points. So we were a little off last week for the Missouri game. I will say this. Week 0, I guess you will say, episode 1, when we predicted every game on the OU schedule. Goodfella comes in with let's talk about Missouri. Each of us predicted a win over Missouri. LSU, Goodfella predicts a win over LSU and finishing 9 was what you had. St. Pablo, this is one of St. Pablo's losses. However, he did predict a 10-2 record, which a win would get him to his record. I've never hoped for you to win, St. Pablo, but I'm hoping you win. Kind of lose, but you win. And then myself, I predicted a loss here against LSU. But to me, it's a different LSU team we're facing here. I felt like Nussmeier was better at the beginning of the year. And 1, he's injured. 2, he hasn't been great to begin with. So that's kind of the way we predicted this game to go at the beginning of the year. So how about some score predictions? Let me look it up here real quick. Let's see here. I believe OU is a 10-point favorite. And 36.5 is the over-under.
I am going to go with 30-10 OU to finish out the year. I think that that Whit Weeks is hurt a little bit too.
That linebacker.
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of an ankle injury. He'll probably play, but they do have quite a few injuries all across, all over.
I'm going 24-10 OU.
Actually, I really like that.
Pick it.
I'm going to go 21-6. 21-6.
Well, I hope we're all right because this means that we cover and we're feeling pretty good closing out the year.
I thought I heard 17-6.
No, I tell you what, I'm gonna change mine. 24-6. I got to get Sandell a field goal, right?
That's why. Yeah. I'll either gonna go 24 or 17. That was my 2 numbers.
You want to change to 24-17?
No. I was
okay.
My OU number is gonna be 24 or 17. It's got to be a field goal in there.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We're going to kick a field goal because he's going for that, he's going for that award. So he has to kick the ball. Right.
Yeah.
So he's guaranteed at least 1 kick.
The prediction is for Whit Weeks to be probable because he has a foot injury. Caden Durham, the running back, is predicted to be probable. He, I guess, is battling a neck injury. And it did happen at Western Kentucky. It happened at Western Kentucky or against Western Kentucky.
Okay, I can see because he only had 6 carries, which I like. He's the starting running back. 6 carries.
Yeah. Okay. All right. College football playoff rankings come out again this week. This episode is coming to you before the rankings are released. OU was released at number 8. My belief is that OU will stay at a number 8 or potentially go to a number 9. The only reason why I feel like they may drop is just because of the perception that's out there amongst the talking heads of all college football sports of the offense not being very potent and the defense being super potent. So 8 or 9 is what I would say this week. But again, I think I don't know that there were any upsets in the top 12 over the course of the last week. And then, man, is this not a good year to sit out conference championship week?
Great year.
Yeah.
I mean, oh man, I am excited to know that we did not make the conference championship game. Let us go on idle after Saturday, and let's see what happens in 3 weeks.
Well, I think it'd be a travesty if they dropped OU at all, because we're the only college football team that has defeated 5 top 25 teams on their schedule. And, at the beginning of the year, that was the conversation that people believe the Sooners to be a really good team, but the schedule would prevent them from even being here and for us to even be talking about this opportunity that we have. So to have defeated 5 teams in the top 25 is an amazing accomplishment in and of itself, to which I would say there would be an argument to be made if you were 9-3 getting into the college football playoffs. But Notre Dame is very much liked by I think the committee. They did put up a lot of points, so I hear what you're saying on the offensive side. They dropped some 70 odd points, and that's all you've heard about on Notre Dame is just how awesome they are. And they have their only 2 losses are Miami and Texas A&M by 1, but it was at home. So I think it'd be a travesty to drop the Sooners at all. They are the best 2-loss team right now in college football, in my opinion. Again, yes, it is a biased opinion. I accept that. But when you defeat 5 teams in the top 25 and you have the schedule, if not the hardest, the second hardest schedule out there. I mean, we defeated Michigan, who was number 15. Auburn was 22 at the time. Tennessee was 14. Alabama was 4. And Missouri 22. That's an impressive resume.
And LSU was ranked, we haven't played them yet, but let's say we beat LSU. They were ranked at one point number 3.
You're right.
So
a lot of talent on that team. You're right.
I don't know. I think Notre Dame, just looking at their schedule, they beat Pittsburgh 22. They beat a USC number 20, and I mean that's it. I mean it's a pretty favorable schedule. So if they do jump us, which I don't see how they do that, if we're just talking about strength of schedule, that's a 1 up for us. So it really depends on what the committee is looking at in terms of strength and schedule, the way they've beat teams. Yes, they can score points on offense, but they haven't played our defense. So it's a lot of teams that score a lot of points. When they play OU, that does not happen. So if they look at look in terms of what our defense is able to do to some pretty incredible teams and slow them down. They got to take that into consideration. I would believe.
Yeah, I would agree. I hope hope they continue on the path that they have been in terms of the CFP committee. Last thing from me, and then we'll jump to locks of the week. What a season for Brent Venables. This is doing nothing but just completely catapulting the recruiting of the OU Sooners for the future. And the beginning of the year, they're not just on here, but in multiple podcasts, folks were talking about hot seat, and man, he has just completely performed by taking over the defensive coordinator position, and just been a fantastic year for Brent Venables in terms of being the head coach and the defensive coordinator for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah, kudos. I flipped it in the beginning of the year. I think we all were a little indifferent in how the season started in the Texas loss, and then hit a switch. And this is a completely different program on the defensive side. So I love the direction of the defense. I love that they are all young. So the core of our defense is predicted to be back next year, and that is scary for college football. So
I also think,
yeah,
while we're on this, I also think it would be a terrible decision for John Mateer to do anything other than return to the Oklahoma Sooners next year. He's probably making the amount that he would make as a rookie in the NFL. And I think he's left a lot. I don't want to say to be desired, but I think he's got a lot more in the tank in terms of what he can bring to the OU Sooners with the weapons that are returning next year.
Hey, let me say this too. I'll let St. Pablo jump in here. Isn't this office he's been running for 3 years? Is that what, or 2 years? Mateer,
This is his third year, I believe.
Yeah,
because I think he was a backup, and then he was the starter at Washington State, and now he's the starter here.
Yeah, I don't know that. For me to know that it's been 3 years. And I know it's SEC. The game speed is completely different. He needs to stay, and he needs 1 more year to learn this playbook to figure out the game speed. Because I don't know. I won't jump on Mateer. We need him. I think he's the best right now for us. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I mean, John Mateer, though, it kind of depends on what, happens, say, finishing out this game, and then if you are in the college football playoffs and how that were to, unfold, you wonder if you got close enough, would you come back, to try to finish the job? If you finish the job and somehow pulled out a national title, would that factor in your decision making on what you do the next year? I think it's kind of a story unwritten right now for him and what his future would be. The only thing I can think on the college football playoffs, if they did flip Notre Dame and OU, would that mean that we go to Notre Dame as opposed to them coming here? And as much as I would hate that for Norman, because it would be absolutely amazing to have a college football playoff first round in Norman, Oklahoma, do you really want to mess with the road dogs? Do you really want to put the Sooners on the road?
I like that.
That's true. That's true.
I like that. Yeah. The road dogs.
All right. Let's transition to locks of the week. All right. Last week I had Texas as a 9-point favorite over Arkansas. Texas did cover and beat Arkansas, which pushes my record to 9-5. This week I am taking Alabama as a 6-point favorite against Auburn. I think Auburn, while it's the Iron Bowl and while it's Auburn at night, I don't feel like Auburn's Auburn, and I feel like the Alabama team has a lot to prove right now. If a loss would put them in jeopardy of missing a conference championship as well as the college football playoff, in my opinion. So there's something to play for, even outside of an Iron Bowl rivalry game, going into Auburn. So I'm going to take the 6. I'm going to take Alabama covering 6 points versus Auburn.
Say, Pablo, you want to go?
Sure. Yeah, that is that's a little voodoo on the Tigers there. It gets weird out in that way. Nice. All right. So I had Tennessee last week against Florida, and Tennessee absolutely dominated Florida. First time since 2003. I feel really good about Heupel. I like where this is shaping up for. I'm going to pull a good fella and circle back to the Tennessee Volunteers. I'm circling back. I'm staying with a team 2 weeks in a row. I like Heupel to defeat Vanderbilt. They're coming in. They're 3.5. That's what I have. 3.5 favorite. I like them to cover that 3.5. Did I take yours, good fella?
Not at all.
Okay. All right.
With the win, St. Pablo achieves the 500 mark.
Oh, that's right. I finally am even. I just need to get ahead here.
7-7.
I need 3 more wins, probably. The way that
good fellow, you're coming in at 5-9 this week.
Yeah. So I did win last week. I had BYU over Cincinnati. It was 2.5 spread, and BYU won 26-14. I am going to go to the SEC, and I am going to go and take Texas A&M. They are playing Texas. The spread is 2.5 at Texas. I'm going with this pick. I think A&M, in terms of going into the playoffs, they are undefeated right now. They are leading their conference. I would hate to think they will drop the ball the last week and not want to take a chance at the SEC title game. So I got them beating Texas by at least a field goal in Texas to go and have an undefeated record to end out the regular season.
Right. How great would it be for the Texas Longhorns to finish the regular season at 8-4?
Oh, be great.
So, though, if let's say they were to win, though, the Texas Longhorns in a bit of a dominant fashion, what do you see happening there? Because that would put them at 9-3, defeating the number 2 or 3 team in the nation.
Number 3 team.
Yeah, that's a CFP. I'm telling you what. After this week, it's gonna jumble up quite a bit, and then after conference championship week, has the potential to jumble up a little bit too. So it's going to be interesting. The final
they
2
are
weeks.
right now. They're 8-3, so they are the first 8-3 team ranked.
I feel like they were number 14 or something, right?
They're number 16 right now.
16. So it'd be really hard to jump from 16 into the top 8, but it'd be a good win too. So it'll be interesting. Be interesting to see what the Longhorns can put together for the Texas A&M Aggies, which I don't. The only game I've really watched of the Texas A&M team is South Carolina, which was the tale of 2 halves. They looked absolutely atrocious in the first half, and then look like gangbusters in the second half. So it's really hard to say what kind of team they are realistically, but it'll be a good game to watch. That's a reunited rivalry, if you will, and that'll be fun.
It is. Yeah, should be a good one.
And I am rooting for Michigan this weekend. I really am.
Yeah. Hey, Michigan win. Let's go for the Sooners. Is it in Ann Arbor or is it in Ohio?
I don't know. Let me see. But they are 9.5 underdog. It's at Michigan.
It's at Michigan. Yeah.
They always lay it on the line for that one.
Yeah.
So.
And if they win, do they get in? They'd be 10-2.
Yeah.
Beating number one team.
Solid win, with one of their losses being OU and the other loss being
they lost to OU, obviously, and then they also
USC.
Okay, USC.
It's not a great
Not a good loss.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That'll do it for the locks of the week. Again, LSU coming into Norman, 2:30 kick. Everything is set on the table for the OU Sooners. Win, and you're more than likely in the college football playoff. What an exciting time. Norman's going to be on fire Saturday afternoon. That'll do it for episode 15. Sooner Soundwave.
Sooner.
Here comes the
Texas sucks.
Here comes the y'all don't really want it like